Hello everyone, my name is Clinton and welcome to the clan. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I know guys, it's been a minute since I've been here. Well, you already know the story. If you've been following me on my community tab, I did mention that a luggage of mine that ended up in Brazil and it had all my filming equipment. My boss and I took a 1-week trip to Cape Town. And for some reason, our bags got mixed up and then it landed in Brazil, but it's back and hence we are here today. So we are able to continue with normal programming. But anyways, guys, you already know the story. If you've been following me on my community posts, I've mentioned it. I apologize for the inconvenience that was caused, but also it gave me some time to relax and to rejuvenate because my goodness, the sense of Mokgoathleng trial is really taking a toll on so many people, myself included. So before I go on, guys, please let me make this call of action one more time. Please smash me the like button because, guys, you know the algorithm has slowed down the last week since I was not around. And I think you can see it yourself. So please, let's get to 1,000 likes and beyond so that we can call more members of the clan that do not know that we exist. So thank you so much for that call of duty. Please do it now, before you even go any further with this video. Just click the like button and let's go on. Anyways, guys, let's go to the Mokgoathleng High Court, the Senzo Mokgoathleng murder trial. What's going on? It's all I can ask. What on earth is going on? I think at this point, Judge Ratha has become brazen. He no longer cares about criticism, about the decorum itself in court, let alone the rules of the court that guide him and governs him to run a fair trial. I've said this before, guys, and I will say it again, and I will keep repeating this over and over again. Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng is no longer presiding over a fair trial. The trial within a trial, I'm not quite sure what exactly it's in their minds, why they continue to waste taxpayers' monies, why they continue to waste the court's time itself, because as Judge Ratha had mentioned previously, that Advocate Baloyi is a senior advocate, and as a result, many state cases are on loggerheads because he cannot attend to those cases. So if indeed there are other cases that are waiting Baloyi, then why doesn't he cut the umbilical cord with this particular case that's going absolutely nowhere? This judge is making every effort to resuscitate the case of the state. And unfortunately, every time Ratha tries it, he gets an egg on his face. Like a case in point today. Come on, anybody knew that come Monday, Judge Ratha would have a prepared judgment, which of course I can imagine that he already knew about because he made this order and said, guys, prepare me heads of argument about the AVL being admitted into evidence or reopening the state's case so that they can admit the AVL as evidence. We knew what the judgment was going to be. All that we had to wait for was the multiple authorities that he was going to be citing from and also arguing and submitting on behalf of the state. Because if you looked closely, Advocate Baloyi, what exactly was he saying this morning when he was submitting his heads of argument? What authority did he cite in order for the judge to be persuaded that to please open this so that I can re-examine Sajid Mokhani? No. Baloyi was relaxed. Baloyi was relaxed and he was not saying much because he knows that the judge has his back. And boy, did the judge have his back, because after Advocate Mngome Zulu has made his submissions were sound, they were within the law and also in the interest of justice. And also, he did mention that if this is reopened, meaning the evidence in chief is reopened for Advocate Baloyi to be able to re-examine the witness, it's going to be prejudicial to his clients. But of course, the judge was like, I don't see any prejudice, and it's not in the interest of justice that this court is not going to hear this evidence, the AVL, and therefore the defense, of course, they lost that application. Now, of course, the defense lost that submission, and Advocate Baloyi was smiling all the way to nothingness because the very same witness that he wanted to re-examine regarding the AVL embarrassed the living daylight out of the state as well as the judge. If you were looking at the judge every time the camera panned on him, he was pissed. He was like, is this what I ruled in favor for? Because this poor witness, as Advocate Mokgoathleng told the court, he is not an expert in AVL. Is it automobile, whatever the L stands for? He is not an expert in that. An expert is going to be needed because an expert is a person who studies these things. This is science. And this poor guy doesn't even know the word coordinates. There was multiple numbers, or latitude and longitude, the numbers. I'm like, sir, do you know what those numbers are called? Of course, he doesn't know what those numbers are called, but an expert does. Even a grade 11 geography student on a lower level or lower grade in grade 11 will be able to tell you that, oh, on the map, those numbers that you see there are called coordinates. This is what pilots use when they are going to a destination, when they're flying their airplanes. They use coordinates. GPSs use coordinates. In order for them to go wherever they need to go accurately, they need the coordinates for that. This is the stuff that you learn in geography. Okay, fine, I can forgive Sergeant Mokgoathleng. Possibility is that he's one of those members of the police, South African police service that are uneducated, meaning they don't have a matric. It's possible. I'm not saying he doesn't. I don't know. But of course, what was sitting before him, this so-called AVL, he could not read it. He did not understand it, and he was admitting, understanding, I don't understand what I'm reading. And rightfully so. That is why the defense was saying, hey, for the integrity of this document or this piece of science, you need an expert. And on top of that, the Advocate Mokgoathleng even supplemented by saying that if you allow Sergeant Mokgoathleng to be the one that is examined on the AVL, Sergeant Mokgoathleng is biased. Of course, they are being questioned about the abuse of accused number 2. Of course, they are in trouble about, or possible trouble about the detours that they took for 17 hours with accused number 2. That's Bongani Ntanzi. So of course he's going to read what he thinks it's going to favor them and also disprove what Ntanzi on behalf of Ntanzi, Advocate Mokgoathleng has already told the court. They detoured here, they went there, they detoured there. And then as he was reading, I'm like, okay, at some point before 12 midday, they did stop for lunch, right? I mean, for breakfast. Ntanzi had breakfast, right? Tell me Ntanzi had breakfast. No, the guy continues to read the AVL into midday. Ntanzi has not had breakfast. Ntanzi has not had a bathroom break. Ntanzi has not even had water. The only time Ntanzi has water and a pack of chips is after lunch, like around 4 p.m. You haven't eaten breakfast. You have not drank water. You have not bathed since you were arrested, and they only give you a pack of chips and a bottle of water around 4. Is that not tantamount to torture? But I believe that in as much as they did not stop for food, the police officers that were with Ntanzi, dragging him all over the show, they had lunch boxes and they ate in his presence. They ate in his presence and probably continue to torture him and say, if you're not going to agree to this, we are not going to feed you. And of course, he said, well, come what may, I am not going to confess to a crime I did not commit. And so he was not given food. And I still believe that it's a lie that where they stopped, where they eventually stopped, they said, no, yeah, we stopped because we went to buy water. And now Baloyi comes in and leads the witness and say, what exactly did you buy? And then I think he remember, oh, I need to mention something about food. And then he goes for a pack of chips. I think maybe he wanted to say potato chips, but he went chips. Now for us, chips, it means Simba chips. And that small pack of Simba chips, crisps, as other parts of the world called it, that is what they bought for him. And how big of a bottle of water? Do you think it's a 2 liter, 1 liter, 1.5 liter? I don't think so. It was probably the small bottle of water. And tell me that even if you did feed him chips for the sake of humanity, is that not tantamount to torture by starvation? Advocate Mngomezulu asked a very interesting question, that who is the person that tracked the Toyota Fortuner on the 16th of June 2020 to the 27th of October 2020 and beyond? An expert would have been able to say, okay, on the 16th of June 2020, this Toyota Fortuner took off from here. These are the coordinates. This is where it stopped. But there is something very interesting that Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng said in his judgment regarding man and machine. I'm going to get to that. So let me get to the judgment, because guys, we already knew that Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng was already prepared with the judgment, and he was going to come and rule in favor of the state, and he did exactly that. But now there is something that he said that was quite interesting, and I want to read what he said in his judgment, and then I want you to think about this, and in your mind, think of Dr. Matthew Lani. Think about that other radiographer in the Eastern Cape who was caught pretending to be a radiographer in a hospital in the Eastern Cape. And then come back and tell me, is that not a dangerous sentence in a judgment by a high court judge? Because this particular dictum can be used by absolutely anybody that may have found themselves in trouble for pretending to be a professional or an expert in something they are not an expert in. Like us, the self-appointed experts, we've been following this case and we've learned so much about the law. Don't you think that some of us can just walk into a court of law and say, I'm here to represent my client? I have no LLB degree. I don't have a law degree whatsoever. I've never even seen a law school which door it's facing. And yet here I am, simply because out of my observation and experience and also my IQs, I feel that I can come into a court of law and represent somebody, and I am an expert according to Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng. And this is what he said in his judgment. And this is what he said, and I quote, "You don't need to study to be an expert, but you just need the knowledge that you have acquired through experience." Of course, we are experiencing this trial. We are experiencing a lot about the law. And now we know that in order to persuade a court, you need to have some sort of authorities that you are going to pull out from the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s, all the way, probably even go as far back as the 1800s when Jan van Riebeeck and them came to Africa in 1652, because they did come with the law. And all I have to do is just quote that law, and then the judge will have to be persuaded by what I said. Why? Because out of the experience of watching this trial, I consider myself an expert. Dr. Matthew Lani, what's up, bro? You were right. Okay, on a serious note though, let's continue. And then Judge Ratha goes on to make comparisons between man and machine. And he says a machine is more reliable over a man. Of course, he did not say it in those words. I'm just paraphrasing here. He's saying that a machine is less likely to make mistakes than a human being would. For example, being biased. And I was like, wait a minute, Judge, has anybody, I am hoping that if you do have children who are interested in technology, that they've at least whispered in your ear why your iPhone, whatever you are using, is frozen. Because, yeah, it's a machine. It's not a transformer. What you saw in that movie is fiction. There's no machine that will just get up and do its own thing. It is created by man. A machine is controlled by man, and a machine needs either upgrading or updating if the software is dated, right? And also a machine, if you do not put correct information in there, guess what it's going to do? It's going to give you wrong information. But above all it, man created machine that someday, if they may find themselves in trouble, they must be able to manipulate the machine to favor them. And in this case in point, it is the AVL. If you were listening to Sergeant Mohane closely, one of the ways of manipulating the AVL is through the engine, by putting it on, by switching it off, by making it run idle, and all of that, because the activities of the engine will influence the data that the AVL is going to give out. When you stop at a certain point and then you run the engine, it gives a certain reading. If you switch off the ignition, it's going to give a different reading. And if you are moving, it's going to give a different reading. Meaning that both Sergeant Mokgoathleng, they begged Baloyi, say, listen, we know about the AVL and we know how to manipulate it to favor you as the prosecutor. So yeah, the machine is not lying. It's saying, yeah, the engine was idle. There was a hard brake. And I was like, hard brake? I remember very well somewhere in the testimony or cross-examination by Advocate Mngomezulu asking Jonathan and them that you pushed the seat far back, so much so that it was hurting accused number 2's knees. That means the chair in front of him and him at the back were pretty close to each other. So when you do a hard brake, and remember, he's also handcuffed from the back of his head, and then there's a hard brake, chances are you're going to hit your nose against the chair in front of you. Oh no, I don't remember why we did a hard brake here. But you remember about the engine being on idle and why the engine was switched off, and you remember going to Pick and Pay or something and to go buy water and a pack of, but you don't remember why you did a hard brake? That's because you were busy abusing the boy in the car as you were moving. It was quite interesting as well when the judge was giving his ruling and making an example of Dr. Chris Barnard and the Black Horsa assistant, who apparently, according to history, was the one who showed him how to perform a heart transplant. And therefore, he was known as an expert. And I'm like, Dr. Mathulani, I don't blame you, sir. I don't blame you. According to what Ratha Mokgoathleng said, I don't blame you. The other thing that also, I get it that authorities does persuade a court to making a ruling, but Ratha overdoes it when he wants to justify why he's defending the state. He made submissions on behalf of the state. Baloyi did not make any submissions. I submit. From what I was listening, I was like, what is Baloyi saying? But what the judge was saying is what Baloyi was supposed to be saying with all those authorities that he was dishing in order for him to make the ruling that he did. But of course, as you guys know, that when the witness took the stand eventually, which is currently still on the stand being re-examined by Advocate Baloyi, the man is not singing. He has absolutely no idea what he's saying. And all those stuff that he's reading in the AVL is like a grade 2 student that is trying to learn how to read. And I'm not being disrespectful towards Sergeant Mokgoathleng, but the things that he's reading there is like, where is the science that we as the people that are listening together with the accused can use? Because I don't get it. Okay, fine. There are some gems that I feel that Advocate Mngomezulu should tackle. For example, the hard brake. The hard brake definitely needs to be cross-examined hard. The second ones are the coordinates. Why he no longer reads the coordinates? He needs to be questioned about him understanding coordinates, because this is how coordinates work as far as I understand them. In as much as the report says we were at Moroka police station, chances are outside of Moroka police station, there's an open felt with old ATMs that no longer work, and that's where they tortured Ndanzi. But if you give the accurate coordinates, it's going to lead you in that bush. Have you ever taken your GPS and then your GPS tells you, go this direction, you take that direction, and you are into a bush? Like a gravel road that is bushy. And they say, well, if you go down this road, you are going to your final destination. But you're like, no, where I'm going to, I know there's a tar road. The thing is, you could actually take that road because it's a longer way. The one that the GPS is taking you is a shorter cut. We've been through that before. But this is not a GPS. This is an AVL, if I understand these things correctly. But coordinates do not put you directly. The coordinates, okay, the reading of the coordinates will give you the location. It will say, this is the location, ShopRite Checkers. But next to ShopRite Checkers, it is Pep Store. But now, we were not at ShopRite Checkers, we were at Pep Store. But that's where the coordinates are saying Pep Store, but the location is ShopRite Checkers. So now that's why I'm saying the expert will be able to say, well, if you look at the coordinates say, yes, they were near a police station, Moroka police station. It could be a few meters away from the police station. But the coordinates are saying this is where they stopped, near the police station. And by near the police station could be anything between 1 meter to about 100 meters. So that is the area it will give, the name of the area or the benchmark or landmark of the area it will give. But the coordinates will be stuck here in this X, this place. So now we want to know what place was that where they stopped, because it was not Moroka police station. It was not Boksburg Magistrates Court. It was not. And another part that was very interesting was when he turned on the engine and he was moving for prisoners to be driven into the court. I was like, that sounds very dodgy to me, because Ntanzi mentioned that they were in a municipal area where he was tortured, not too far away from the Boksburg Magistrates Court. So you get to see what I'm trying to say here with how coordinates work. They are never on that place you're saying you are at. It only gives coordinate, it only gives location of where the coordinates, where you stopped according to the coordinates. But Ratha Mokgoathleng wanted egg on his face, and he's feeling the egg on his face because this particular witness, he is not saying what science is saying on that piece of paper. And I keep asking again, when did they stop for food? When did Ntanzi eat? When? Because we gone now past 4 o'clock, and we know that he only had a pack of chips as well as a bottle of water. And I keep thinking, okay, at some point they're going to say, okay, for dinner, this is what. I don't think he even had it. I don't think. But you heard Mukhane say, oh, we were sharing our food with him. We will even ask him the variety of KFCs that he would like to have. Nowhere it says this AVL, they stopped at the KFC. Nowhere. And I keep thinking, okay, they're going to stop at the KFC. They're going to stop at the KFC. No, they never did. Throughout the morning and throughout the day, they don't stop at a KFC where he is giving choices of KFCs that he can eat. What about the bathroom break? Okay, maybe he doesn't need a bathroom break because as they were busy Donner and scommering him, did I just... as they were busy beating the poor guy, he probably was messing on himself. So guys, at the end of the day, Advocate Baloyi does not have to do much. He doesn't have to break a sweat. He knows that the judge has his back and he could get away with absolutely anything at any given time. And we are witnessing this in this very trial. Again, I repeat, Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng is presiding over an unfair trial. This trial is not fair. This trial has prejudiced the accused so many times. I feel that when this case, when he rules in favor of the state and the matter is taken to the Supreme Court of Appeal, the judges at the Supreme Court of Appeal unanimously will be scathing on Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng's judgment. They're going to call it absurd because everything that he's saying and he is admitting is absurd. Why doesn't he want an expert? What do you have against expert Judge Ratha Mokgoathleng? And we haven't forgotten about the dockets. I hope that the defense hasn't forgotten about the dockets that Mukhane is supposed to submit. We have not forgotten. We want those dockets. We want to see something. So was Ratha Mokgoatleng's judgment in the interest of justice? I don't think so. Not only was it not in the interest of justice, but it prejudiced against the accused. And therefore, this is not a fair trial. This is not a fair trial anymore. The main trial is an unfair trial. Now, with the trial within a trial is also unfair to the accused number one and accused number two. And then Judge Mokgoathleng continues to entertain Advocate Baloy's and his tactics. How much more are we going to be subjected to this wasteful expenditure by Judge Mokgoathleng? Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts about what happened in the Mokgoathleng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. We still want to know who killed Senzo Meyiwa and why they're concealing this person or protecting this person from being held accountable for killing Senzo Meyiwa. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Anyways, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody that's super thanking the channel and also supporting it financially. I highly appreciate you guys so very much. You keep the channel going and also motivate me to create more videos like this. Also, do leave me a comment down below and let me know what did you think about what happened in the Mokgoathleng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial today. What do you think of the judgment? Were you surprised? Were you not surprised? What surprised you about the judgment itself? What do you think about his comments about the machine? As well as Dr. Barnard's black assistant? That's one I want to hear. Also, guys, don't forget when you are watching other YouTubers' channels, don't forget to also like their videos and subscribe to their channels. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.